This is a map of San Francisco. There's a lot of plots on that. You may be asking, what is that plotting? Well, this is an app where they plot the human feces.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about the debate between California Governor Gavin Newsom and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, which was hosted over on Fox News with Sean Hannity. Now, this was a pretty interesting debate. This could be a 2028 presidential debate preview, or it could be a preview of this year, 2024. If Trump can't go forward for whatever the reason may be, DeSantis may be next in line to take his place. Maybe even Vivek, but that's a different story, and I digress. Obviously, Joe Biden's in decline. If he can't go forward this year, they may want to throw in Newsom at the 0 hour. Either way it goes, this was a pretty interesting debate, and we got quite a few videos to get through, quite a few highlights, lowlights, whatever you want to call it. But elephant in the room, first things first, these guys actually wanted to go longer. They wanted to go 20 more minutes, speaking about Newsom and DeSantis. And as a matter of fact, here's a tweet from Newsom. He says, "That was fun. Could have kept going." Now, there's an interesting comment underneath this about Harvey Weinstein. We'll get to that in a minute, but let's continue here. Now, shout out to Citizen Free Press. On NBC News, it was reported that Gavin Newsom's wife got on stage and said, "Nope, we're done. We're not going to go to 20 more minutes. We're finished." So that is allegedly the reason why this debate did not go on longer. And speaking about Gavin Newsom's wife, the defense attorney in the Harvey Weinstein case says that she had quote unquote transactional relations with Harvey Weinstein. So you could put two and two together to get four in your mind to figure out what the word transactional means in this context. But again, different story. I digress. Those were some elephants in the room I wanted to address before we got to the actual debate. And if you want to see any of these clips, links will be in the description. If you're on IG, visit the link in the bio, go to the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll them.
Well, I'm looking at total time. Governor DeSantis,
look,
about 2 minutes.
He needs it. This is a map of San Francisco. There's a lot of plots on that. You may be asking, what is that plotting? Well, this is an app where they plot the human feces that are found on the streets of San Francisco. And you see how almost the whole thing is covered, because that is what has happened in one of the previous greatest cities this country's ever had. Human feces is now a fact of life, except when a communist dictator comes to town. Then they cleaned up the streets. They lined the streets with Chinese flags. They didn't put American flags there. They cleaned everything.
And you know what's funny about that? Gavin Newsom went on television, did a press conference with the mayor of San Francisco, London Breed, and admitted that, yeah, we did clean it up for China, for Xi Jinping. He was saying something like, "Ain't that what you do when you get company that comes over, you clean up your living room?" He said that on TV. Rather than just keeping it clean and safe for people that live in California, his constituents, they don't make it look nice and pretty and shiny for visitors. Pretty interesting.
Everything up. So they're willing to do it for a communist dictator, but they're not willing to do it for their own people.
I want to get in your...
So that was a pretty interesting part. Now let's go here. This is about Gavin Newsom talking about we're not going to be the nominee for our party.
There are profound differences tonight, and I look forward to engage them. But there's one thing in closing that we have in common is neither of us will be the nominee for our party in 2024.
So from Gavin Newsom's perspective, that's not really a big deal because he's not necessarily actively trying to campaign. Okay, the presumptive nominee for the Democrats is Joe Biden. So he's not trying to campaign right now. If anything, he's trying to set the groundwork for 2028. And if he needs to be a 0 hour alternate for Biden, if he can't go forward, then he'll do it. Now, on the other hand, DeSantis is trying to run to become the nominee right now. He's trying to defeat Donald Trump in the primary. So that's why that makes a difference. Let's keep on going here. Oh, talking about people leaving California, because I saw some of the debate and Newsom was talking about how Florida's unsafe. They're banning books and they got mass shootings and all this and that and the third, which is ridiculous because if it's a bad place, then why is everybody going there? It doesn't make any sense. But DeSantis wanted to counteract that and talk about California and how people are fleeing that state in droves. So let's check it out.
Governor, what's going on?
When I was in the Navy, I got orders to go to Naval Amphibious Base Coronado in Southern California. And I was a lifelong Floridian, but I went there and I was like, man, this is one of the most beautiful places on earth. And I think California has more natural advantages than any state in the country. You almost have to try to mess California up. And yeah, that's what Gavin Newsom has done since he's been governor. He's the first governor to ever lose population. They actually, at one point, ran out of U-Hauls in the state of California because so many people were leaving. Of course, he's imposed restrictions on his own people while exempting himself from those restrictions and going to the French Laundry while his people were suffering. He led the country in school closures, locking kids out of school while he had his own kids in private school in person. Now, he's very good at spinning these tales. He's good at being slick and slippery. He'll tell a blizzard of lies to be able to try to mask the failures. But the reality is they have failed because of his leftist ideology. And the choice for America is this. What Biden and Harris and Newsom want to do is take the California model and do that nationally. In Florida, we showed that conservative principles work. This country must choose freedom over failure.
Very good. Very well said. And one thing that DeSantis said about Newsom that's very true is how Newsom is very slick, very slippery. He'll spin. He's a great politician, trained by the best. Remember, Gavin Newsom is Nancy Pelosi's nephew. Let's not forget about how he comes from like a family of these people that know what they're doing. All right. Let's keep that in mind. Now, let's continue here.
The Martha's Vineyard transport, Martha's Vineyard said it was a sanctuary jurisdiction. Kind of reminds me about Gavin Newsom when he restricted Californians, then he went to the French Laundry. These liberal elites, they like to impose burdens on you. They don't want to have to face the consequences of their.
Now, he brought up French Laundry twice in the clips that I played right here. Remember, during C-19, there was heavy lockdowns in certain parts of the country, California being one of them. And during the lockdowns, Gavin Newsom was spotted at this restaurant, really high price, high ticket, exclusive restaurant called French Laundry with no mask and close quarters with, I think there might have been some healthcare professionals. They're having this dinner. It's like, okay, you got us doing Zoom calls and FaceTimes and things of this nature. Meanwhile, you're having dinner in person. Why can't I do what you're doing? What's really going on? No mask, no distancing, no nothing. So what he's saying about liberals imposing certain restrictions and rules, regulations on you, then not following them themselves is 100% on point.
Action. So we've got a lot of elites who want open borders, who lecture everybody else about it. Then the minute they have to deal with any of the consequences, oh man, all hell breaks loose.
How about the consequences?
Exactly. Let's keep on going here.
Here's what I would say. I talked to a lot of the people that have moved from California to Florida, and we never used to get people from California to Florida or really anywhere on the East Coast. Why would you leave California? It's got the best weather, great natural forces. Excuse me, sir. But one of the things that I did, I was talking to a gentleman, a couple.
Guys, I'm going to let the debate breathe. But it's his turn. Let's take turns.
So I was talking to a fella who had made the move from California to Florida, and he was telling me that Florida is much better governed, safer, better budget, lower taxes, all this stuff. And he's really happy with the quality of life. And then he paused and he said, by the way, I'm Gavin Newsom's father-in-law. So we do count.
Wow. Your own family members. Wow. Your own family members saying, hey, man, I can't even stay. My own son-in-law. My daughter's husband can't get it right. I got to go rock with you.
In-laws as some of the people that have fled California and come to the state of Florida.
So I think Gavin Newsom may have kind of understood where he's going to go with that story. That's why he's trying to cut him off. It's like, nah, don't talk about my in-laws now. Don't bring them up. That's why he was trying to cut him off. Very interesting.
And why are we getting people to come? We have a 50-year low in the crime rate. You don't see in the last 10 years, we've had a 45% decline in homelessness. California's had a 45% increase in homelessness. We back the blue. I was walking the streets of San Francisco a couple months ago, and I had some of the cops in San Francisco do a beeline to come over to me, and I didn't know what they were going to say. And they're like, we want to thank you for standing for law enforcement because we don't get that support in the state of California. So people understand quality of life matters. They understand that Florida's doing it right. And I can tell you the numbers speak for themselves. We have way more people moving to this state than leaving. Gavin can't say the opposite. More people are leaving California than are moving into California.
That's facts. That's all facts. Now let's go to some more here.
Let me finish. Let's talk about it. A book that contains graphic descriptions about how to masturbate for males and females. My question to you, Governor Newsom.
Now, of course, this is about some of these really disgusting books being in schools, available to kids in K through 12 school. We ain't talking about college, higher education with adults. We're talking about children, minors, people that should not have access to this kind of material. Now, some say it's about education, all this and that and the third, but just because you may want to educate someone about something, first of all, doesn't mean you should. Second of all, doesn't mean you should use this kind of material to do it.
Those books, do you believe that's appropriate for school districts to teach kids? Yes or no?
Come on, those aren't. It's not part of the curriculum. They're not teaching
Those
kids
are those are books that were in school.
Hold on. The bottom line is you are on a book banning binge. Your state.
See, this right here, this is what politicians do. This is what he's good at doing. He's totally avoiding the question. The question was pretty simple. Should these books be available? Would you ban them? Now, he's going to just revert it back on to DeSantis and appeal to the lowest common denominator of the population that just hears book ban, and think it's a bad thing without understanding the context. Totally removing the context and breaking it down to the base element. That's what he's doing.
1,406 books, 3,362 in this country.
You didn't answer.
Florida's
what about
leading,
those books?
That's not. We don't provide for K through third grade education.
See, K through third. Does anybody say that when they're talking about kids? You're talking about K through 12, not K through 3. So basically, he answered the question right there. In fourth grade, they'll provide the pornographic books. That's what he's saying. Maybe I'm missing it. You guys correct me if I'm wrong.
That kind of curriculum, it's just made up. These guys make it up. It's part of this cultural purge.
Should it
it's
be?
Just a made
what grade would it be acceptable?
What I find offensive, Sean and Ron, what I find offensive is a very significant number of these books happen to be LGBTQ books. A significant number of these books happen to be about African Americans.
Do you think it's
honestly find it
Governor?
I told
you think it's appropriate in school?
We don't teach that.
The question is, do you think it's appropriate? He's saying we don't teach it. Is it appropriate? It's yes or no answer. But he knows if he says no, then it's going to be a backlash from the LGBTQ element of people who think that you should be able to have these kind of books in school available to children that are 100% inappropriate under the guise of it being about LGBTQ acceptance. Just because you think that people should accept LGBTQ does not mean that you should force this kind of disgusting material on them. It doesn't matter if it's LGBT, regular, normal, it doesn't matter.
We have sex education in middle schools and high schools where it's appropriate. This is a ginned up, made up issue to divide this country. You talk about dividing this country. This is part of the culture war, the weaponization of grievance. This is part using education. We're focusing on math, science. We're focusing on reimagining our school system.
We're going to get to education
He's criminalizing teachers and criminalizing librarians. Check out the wrong book.
The schools to impose a liberal agenda, social justice. They have this ethnic studies where they're dividing people. That's what they're doing.
There we go. All right, let's keep rocking here.
You have allocated in your budget $265 million for abortion last year alone. My question, very specific. Do you support any restrictions at all on abortion, especially in months 7, 8, and 9, past viability?
I'm going to answer that question, but let's talk about the issue of abortion. Let's talk about the issue of abortion.
You're going to answer it?
I'm going to answer that question.
See, like he did this the entire debate. He'll receive a question and then go off on his own tangent about whatever he wants. That could be somewhat related to the question, but not necessarily answering the question directly. That's what he does. That's what Gavin Newsom is all about.
Question. I'll repeat that. But I think this is important and it bears repeating. Ron DeSantis has signed the most extreme anti-abortion bills in America. He signed a bill banning any exceptions for rape and incest. And then he said it didn't go far enough and decided to sign a 6-week ban before women even know they're pregnant, Ron, before women can even access a doctor's appointment. So extreme is your ban that criminalizes women and criminalizes doctors that even Donald Trump said it was too extreme. On the issue of the extreme exception that you highlight as it relates to the issue of later term abortion, it's almost always because of a fetal anomaly, the life of the mother. And in those rare cases.
Now, remember the question, I'll show it right here. should there be any restrictions on abortion? That's the question. And then his ultimate answer is it should be up to the mother, her doctor, and her conscience.
Cases, I trust.
So the answer is no. So up to 9 months, full gestation, baby ready to pop. Baby is already cooked. The turkey is cooked. The turkey is ready to go ahead and serve, and it's good to go. And you're saying, nah, go ahead. You can have an abortion at that moment.
In answer to your question, I trust the mother and her doctor to make that decision.
So in other words, I want to be clear on this. If a woman and her doctor, for any reason,
not for any reason.
No.
I'm extremely rare.
Should there
this
be?
Is a canard. I know where you guys are going, Sean. You're even uncomfortable with this whole issue.
I watched your.
This is where you guys have to go to cover for the extreme anti-abortion agenda of Ron DeSantis.
Should there be?
Who's hurt your
would
party.
you support a ban on abortion in 7th, 8th, or 9th month if the mother's life is not in jeopardy?
Extreme exception. People aren't going on and having abortions.
Should it be illegal then?
Unless something devastating has happened.
Should it be illegal?
It should be up to.
Should it be illegal? Answer the question. He's not going to answer the question. Like I say, this is what Gavin Newsom does. But this is why politicians act this way, because ultimately this caters to a large percentage of the population who wants to be spoken to this way. They don't really want the direct truth, direct answers, because it could be offensive. When you leave things up to question, when you're kind of ambiguous about it, but you appear to be on the side of, let's say, people that are pro-choice, you're good. That's what they want.
The mother and her doctor and her conscience, and it
so
almost
the answer is
always,
no restriction.
I've already answered it, and I'll just reinforce it.
So again, not answering the question, but that's what he does.
I have played over and over again, and Governor Newsom, you have seen over and over again. Joe Biden is experienced what I believe to be significant cognitive decline. And in other words, it's the toughest job in the world. Is Joe Biden experiencing this cognitive decline? Is it a danger to the country? Do you find when he speaks, what is your reaction to it?
Yes, he's in decline. Yes, it's a danger to the country. He has no business running for president. And, Gavin Newsom agrees with that. He won't say that. That's why he's running his shadow campaign. He should.
That's correct. Absolutely. We know about that.
Not be running. He is not up to the job. And it is dangerous for this country.
Well, I will take Joe Biden at 100 versus Ron DeSantis any day of the week at any age. In fact, all of the folks.
You think he's up to the job? You think he's 100%?
I've been spending.
This is an outright lie. He's completely 100% lying. The reason why he's on the stage wearing a suit and tie right now is, again, for two reasons. First, if they need him to jump in at the last minute, if Joe Biden can't go forward, if he just keels over one day and says, you know what, I'm out, I ain't gonna be able to do it, I'm gonna go back to the basement in Wilmington, he'll jump in. If they want him to run in 2028, he'll do that. He's getting himself ready for it. That's why they put him in front of Xi Jinping. They send him to China. They already know what's next. They already got the whole thing planned out.
Plenty of time with Joe
100%?
Biden in
Okay.
private and
Let him
public.
answer.
You don't know. And by the way, results matter. Inflation now is down to 3.2%. Wages are up to 4.4%. The economy is booming, 5.2% GDP growth in the last quarter. Those are facts you don't hear on Fox News. 14 million jobs, 10 times
Let me
more than
move
the last
on. That
three
was the lightning
Republican
round.
presidents
Now,
combined.
on March.
So there we go. That's your man, Gavin Newsom and Ron DeSantis. Is there one more here? Oh, this is pretty interesting. I think I'll close with this one. Let's check it out.
Joe Biden is in the pocket of the teachers union, and so is Kamala Harris. That's why they fought
by the way,
school
it's not
openings
Kamala Harris.
when he
Shame
came
on
in
you.
there.
It's Kamala
when they had
Harris,
that in
Ron.
there.
It's Kamala
Biden came
Harris,
into office
Madam
and he
Vice
brought in the
President,
teacher
to you,
union to
Kamala
be
Harris.
able to do
Stop
all these
insulting
different things to try to keep the schools closed.
Is it that big of a deal? Kamala, tomato. It really ain't that big of a deal. You know what I mean? I can spell your name with an E on the end or no E on the end, Gavin Newsom. Who cares? It's not really that big of a deal. And look at his face. He's like super offended at the whole Kamala versus Kamala. Really, I don't even hear a difference. Kamala sounds the same to me, but that was pretty much the debate. There's more clips, of course. I will link to everything in the box. I'll link to the full debate in the box. But as I close, I want to say this. RNC, can we please get the debate format better? Again, I've said it before. I could have streamed this, but they have a block on it. They don't want streamers to stream it. They're talking about giving out copyright strikes, things of this nature. do a podcast, a Joe Rogan, something else, because this format is okay, but you could do a lot better, have more reach a younger audience if you just adapt to the 21st century rather than staying in the past, things that might have been on television in the 1950s, man. Let's go ahead and just step it up a little bit. Rather than just new graphics and video cameras and technology, let's embrace technology and do things in a way that really makes sense. That's just my humble opinion, but I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? Who do you think won this debate? Was it Gavin Newsom? Was it Ron DeSantis? Does it really matter? Do you think that one of these guys could be the nominee in this cycle, 2024? One or both? How about 2028? Is this a preview of 2028, or could it be a new guy that arises? Could it be Vivek in 2028 rather than DeSantis? Could it be somebody else on the Democratic side rather than Gavin Newsom? Although the Democratic Party are putting all their chips on the table of Gavin Newsom. Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys may know where I stand, maybe you don't. I think ultimately I'm going to say that Ron DeSantis won the debate. He actually had substance, and he has a proven track record of being in Florida. Now, if we're talking about being smooth and handsome and things of that nature, of course, it's going to be Gavin Newsom. But if you ask me, I'm going to vote for you based on your tangibles, things that you can actually bring to the table, things that you've actually done, and your ability to lead, to govern, to manage. That's why I would vote for you, not because I think you look slick in the suit. That's not how it works. But unfortunately, a lot of people in this country may vote for the more vain reasons. And if we got that going on, I really fear for this country's leadership going forward. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.